What's up, everybody? What you're seeing is my chair, so that means you should probably be able to see me today. Like, I've been making progress. So at first, let me point this like right in my. I gotta make because I don't do a test shot. I like to live on the edge. So I've been doing these readings, and at first we're making progress. We started out with a black screen, and then we moved. So I'm gonna be sweating. The sun is literally right there, and I'm not closing this. I need the light because otherwise it'd be too dark to read. But there's no light in here. But what was I about to say? Oh yeah, we started out as just showing a black screen. Then we progressed to hands. This thing looks crooked. And then we moved to yesterday. You can see my mouth, and now maybe you can see my face, a sweaty face. Okay, and I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. Don't ask why. I don't know. By the end of the night, okay. So this chapter 2. It's called "Man Shortages and Barren Wombs: The Myths of the Backlash." One second, let me go get a paper towel. Sun is really, really kicking my ass. It wasn't like this yesterday. It was rainy. Come on. Plus, I just got out of the shower, put leave-in conditioner in my hair and my skin and lotion. So it's going to be a rough go of it. By the end of the 80s, many women had become bitterly familiar with the statistical developments, a man shortage, my favorite term, endangering women's opportunities for marriage. Source, a famous 1986 marriage study by Harvard and Yale researchers. Findings, a college-educated unwed woman at 30 has a 20% likelihood in marriage. I don't think that's true. At 35, a 5% chance. I don't think that's true. And at 40, no more than a 1.3% chance. There's no way any of that is true. A devastating plunge in economic status afflicting women who divorce under the new no-fault laws. Source, a 1985 study by a sociologist then at Stanford University. Findings, the average woman suffers a 73% drop in her living standard a year after a divorce, while the average man enjoys a 40% rise. This all sounds made up. An infertility epidemic, striking professional women who postpone childbearing. A 1982 study by 2 French researchers. Findings, women between 31 and 35 stand a 39% chance of not being able to conceive, a big 13% jump from women in their late 20s. This just does not sound real to me. As someone who knows a bit about relationship dynamics, basic biology, a great emotional depression and burnout attacking respectively single and career women. Source, various psychological studies. Findings, no solid figures, just the contention that women's mental health has never been worse and is declining in direct proportion to women's tendency to stay single or devote themselves to careers. It's just so funny looking back with hindsight what this was. It's just all propaganda to keep women locked down in relationships. It's like, yeah, if you don't let a man control you, you're going to be unhappy. So come let some mediocre slob fucking have a dominion over you and your body and just accept it, I guess. Or you could be independent and chart your own path and actually be happy. But nah, feminism is making everybody miserable. Man, I cannot believe this propaganda worked on people. It's really embarrassing. These are the fundamental arguments that have supported the backlash against women's quest for equality. They have one thing in common. They aren't true. That no doubt sounds incredible. Not to me. Like, it all sounds made up. Like, at first glance. We've all heard these facts and figures so many times as they've bounced back and forth through the backlash's echo chamber that it's difficult to discount them. How is it possible that so much distorted, faulty, or plain inaccurate information can become so universally accepted? It's like, who is it? Himmler? Who's Hitler's propaganda minister? So you tell a lie long enough or enough times, people will start to believe it. And that shit is true. Before turning to these myths, a quick look at the way the media handled 2 particular statistical studies may help in part to answer that question. Okay, I feel like I'm finally cooling down. The body is incredible. Statistics and tale of 2 social scientists. You want my dirty Kleenex? See if I hit the camera. Might knock it over. I hope not. All right. In 1987, the media had the opportunity to critique the work of two social scientists. One of them had exposed hostility to women's independence, the other had endorsed it. The picture that has emerged of sheer height in recent weeks is that of a pop culture demagogue. The November 23rd, 1987 issue of Newsweek informed the readers under the headline, "Men Aren't Her Only Problem." Man, they just love trying to convince women that men aren't the problem. As a man, I've said, we are the problem. I'm the problem. We're all the problem because we collectively did this. And I'm honest about my whole background, my past. So I'm looking at a bird. Like, there's a little, what do you call it? The little, like, birds that flap their wings really fast. Anyways, it just got some food out of the feeder. What are those birds called? The little birds. I'm looking at one right now. Not a woodpecker, but they act like one. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The little birds, you probably know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say. The old ADHD got me. Damn it. Oh, I'm honest about my past and my outlooks, how they've evolved over time. Yeah, I used to be a sexist. I've admitted that many times. I used to be a sexist, yeah. Because most young men are at some point in our lives. Look at the media we consume. And I came of age in like the mid-2000s, so there you go. And I don't use that as an excuse. Just trying to be better now. You know what I mean? Okay, Cher Hyatt had just published the latest installment of her national survey on sexuality and relationships. Women in Love, A Cultural Revolution in Progress. A 922-page compendium, that's like twice as long as this book, of the views, well, this book's 608, of the views of 4,500 women. The report's main finding: most women are distressed and despairing over the continued resistance from men in their lives to treat them as equals. Nah, it's feminism. Like, how many times we gotta do this? Like, she cited the Virginia Slims poll, and now this study. They're telling you the same thing every time, what makes them unhappy. But we just don't fucking listen. It's unbelievable. 4/5 of them said they still had to fight for rights and respect at home, and only 20% felt that they had achieved equal status. Like, I don't understand. What I don't understand. I'm not married. It's like, how do you not understand this guy's a scumbag? If you I would think the married, you're dating at least 6 months to a year. How the fuck do you not know that you're gonna have to be fighting for respect at home? Like, and you dated the guy. I would say you might not live together, but still, how dumb are you? And that didn't sound right. But what the fuck? Like, how you gonna date a dude for presumably, like I said, 6 months to a year or more, and you're like, yeah, this guy's horrible. I'm fighting for rights and respect at home, and you dated him. Did he change? Was he hiding it? I don't understand that. Like I said, I'm not married. Man, I don't know. I don't understand how that happens. Because, like, I don't think people change. I guess he was just hiding it the whole time. But how do you not know you're married to a misogynist? Anyways, man, people are like, I said it, people are stupid. You know, women can be stupid because women are people. There's got to be dumb people out there. Just, I don't understand. They're just uninquisitive. I don't get it. I pay attention to people. I read people. I analyze people. And, like, to be so oblivious to where, like, I'm married now and I'm fighting for rights and respect. If I'm going to marry somebody, I'm going to know everything about them. Like, what the fuck? Okay. This was not, however, okay, we skipped a sentence. 4/5 of them said they still had to fight for rights and respect at home, and only 20% felt that they had achieved equal status in their men's eyes. 20%. Their quest for independence, they reported, had triggered mounting rancor for them. You know what I think it is? I was a psychology major. I think I think what it is, like, when you get that husband title, people think of it as ownership like they used to in the old days. And I think that does change people. I think men become their real self once you've locked her down to some sort of, what is it? It's literally a legal partnership. But, man, that's why I don't like marriage. It's like, I think about it from time to time. It's like, sometimes I just want, like, a domestic partnership and just having kids. Because I don't want marriage because it's like, it's too formal to me. It's not like about, you know, getting possibly divorcing, having to pay child support. I don't care about that. I feel like that's a man's responsibility to do. It said, you know, to death do us part, you know, yes, financial as well. And I just don't like the what it comes with, what it entails. You know what I mean? The documents, the ring, the sense of ownership. That's what historically marriage has been, and I don't like it. This was not how. Okay, their quest for more independence, they reported, had triggered mounting rancor from their mates. So rancor is like ill feelings, right? They became meaner because it triggered them because they wanted equal rights. That's what I'm talking about. It makes no sense. This was not, however, the aspect of the book that the press had chose to highlight. The media were too busy attacking Height personally. Most of the evidence they marshaled against her involved tales that, as Newsweek let slip, only tangentially involved her work. Height was rumored to have punched a cab driver for calling her dear. What? And phoned reporters claiming that Diana Gregory, Height's assistant, calling her dear, and phoned reporters claiming to be Diana Gregory, her assistant. Curious behavior, if true, but one that suggests a personality more eccentric than demagogic. Yeah, I think punching a cab driver is eccentric. Okay. Nonetheless, the nation's major publications pursued tips on the feminist researchers' peculiarities with an uncharacteristic ardor. The Washington Post even brought in handwriting experts to compare the signatures of Height and Gregory. Certainly, Height's work deserved scrutiny. Many valid questions could be raised about her statistical approach, but Height's findings were largely held up for ridicule, not inspection. Characteristically grandiose in scope, highly improbable, dubious, and limited value was how Time dismissed Height's report in its 1987 article Back Off Buddy, leading one to wonder why, if the editors felt this way, they devoted the magazine's cover and 6 inside pages to the subject. The book is full of extreme views from strident women who are probably just malcontents, the magazine asserted. Whether their views were actually extreme, however, was impossible to determine from the Times account. The lengthy story squeezed in only 2 sentence quotes from the thousands of women that Height had polled and quoted extensively. Yeah, you're not going to get a full picture doing that. That's just lazy. The same article, however, gave plenty of space to Height's critics. Of course it did. Far more than to Height herself. When the media did actually criticize Height's statistical methods, their accusations were often wrong or hypocritical. Height's findings were biased because she distributed her questionnaires through women's rights groups. Some articles complained, who the fuck else would you distribute them to? But Height sent her studies through a wide range of women's groups, including church societies. Okay, then you have nothing to criticize. She had controls on for her study. I don't know, like she just handed it out to women's groups. She handed it out to everybody. You still got to criticize it because it gave you the results you didn't want to see. This world, it pisses me off. It's so stupid. Why can't we just accept scientific findings? Why gotta be like, no, that's not true. I want to actually attack her as a person because I don't like what the study said. It's so childish. Okay. It was impossible to determine from the Times account. The lengthy story squeezed in only 2 sentence quotes from the thousands of women Height had polled and quoted her critics extensively, far more than Height herself. When the media did actually criticize Height's statistical methods, their accusations were often wrong or hypocritical. Height's findings were biased because she distributed the questionnaires to women's rights groups. Some articles complained, but Height sent her studies through a wide range of women's groups, including church societies, social groups, and senior citizen centers. Why is my nose itch so much? It's like the allergies. It's like always just my nose. The press charged that she used a small and unrepresentative sample. Okay. They never complain about that with like political polls or anything else. Yet, as we shall see, the results of the many psychological and social science studies that journalists uncritically report based on much smaller non-random samples. And Height specifically states in her book that these numbers are not meant to be representative, but they took it as a representative sample anyway. You listen to what the fuck people are telling you. That's another problem I have with this world. You don't listen to what people are saying. Like, people would tell you their problems and be like, oh, I'm still oblivious. I'm going to make up what I think you believe. Like, just shut the fuck up and listen. It's a problem with America. Let them run their mouths. Don't listen to people. Height specifically states in the book that the numbers are not meant to be representative. Her goal, she writes, because in America, everybody knows everything, even though most of you don't know shit. Just saying. As an actual smart person, be humble. Heidi specifically states in her book that the numbers are not meant to be representative. Her goal, she writes, is simply to give as many women as possible a public forum to voice their intimate and generally silenced thoughts. The book is actually more of a collection of quotations than numbers. What's wrong with that? I'd love to write a book like that. Somebody needs to write a book like that. Going to all these working class women that we talked about earlier in the book that didn't get their voice heard in the 80s and 90s and ask them how they feel about shit. Like, I should write that book. I wouldn't even need a publisher. I mean, I could publish it digitally, and like, all you'd have to do is just go by like motels, hotels, Holiday Inn, but like just any working class, Walgreens, grocery stores. Look for people standing outside on their break smoking a cigarette. Ask you got 5 minutes, and then like have just a preset, set of questions you can ask them. Like, seriously, that may be my project this summer. And, like, that'll help me get out of my comfort zone, something I've never done. I've never done, like, man on the street interviews, but I could record it if they're okay with that. I want to do that. Like, see what working class women are thinking about. Because nobody else is doing it. While the media widely characterize these women's stories about their husbands and lovers as man-bashing diatribes, the voice in Heist's book are far more forlorn than vengeful. See, that's why I said, man, I thought this was going to change my life a little bit. And, like, I never had that thought before that I wanted to do something like that. The man on the street interviewing the working class women thing. I never would have thought of that without this book. Because I didn't know how bad it was. How could I know? All right. So I'm reading books. I have given heart and soul. By the way, thank you to everybody that watches these. Because, like, when I started this, I expected the first one to get no views. I'm like, well, I guess I'm discouraged. I'm not going to do it because nobody cares. Hey, man, the first one got 19 views. The second one was like 6. The third one was like 6. Then 5. Then 5. And, man, that to me means the world to me. 1 view would keep me fueled to do this. But people actually want to hear this stuff? Maybe. It could have all dislikes for all I know. I'm just being myself up here. But I am appreciative of that if you like it or don't. You know, I just got the view, that keeps me doing this, so thank you. I wish people would interact. I don't bite. I'm just a regular guy. I've given heart and soul of everything I am and have, leaving me with nothing and lonely and hurt, and he's still requesting more of me. I'm tired of being tired. He hides behind a silent wall. Like, that's what I said. How do these dudes hide this shit when you're dating? Like, my philosophy... I mentioned this the other day, like, if you want to know I've mentioned I'm a democratic socialist and feminist, but if you want to know my philosophy on individual things, like, when it comes to dating, I can't date anybody unless you can be totally open. Like, whether I'm crying or, jubilant because my team won the World Series, or I'm angry, you got to accept all of that, just like I accept all that from you. You got to be totally open, the way I see it. And, like, the fact that some of these dudes are hiding this until you get married, and then it's just like, didn't they put up the wall? That's crazy to me. It's like, I'm a lot to handle, I admit that, but if you date me, you're going to get it all. But that's the way it has to be, because, like, how you going to date and then marry somebody if you don't know their full being? That, to me, is irresponsible, and you're going to get your heart broken. Okay, he hides behind a silent wall. Most of the time, I just feel left out, not his best friend. See, that's the problem. At this point, I doubt that he loves me or wants me. Man, this is sad to read. I tried to wear more feminine nightgowns and do things to please him. Damn. In daily life, he criticizes me for trivial things, cupboards and doors left open. This guy sounds like an abusive dick. Yeah, leave him. That's what I tell her. I don't like him angry. So I just close the cupboard, close the drawers, switch off the lights, pick up after him, etc. Yeah, that's not a marriage. That's just a domestic servant who, you gotta get out of that. That makes me sad. Okay, we're going to wrap up. We're going to finish these next couple pages, and I'll be back later with more. Let me check our time. Like 20 minutes, man. No matter what I do, no matter what I talk about, no matter how fast I try to get this out the way, it's always 20 fucking minutes or more. Damn it. I'm sorry. I got a lot of thoughts, man. I don't just read. I got thoughts too. We only got to do like 3 pages. This is so embarrassing. It takes like 6 minutes to do a page because I got so many thoughts. But man, I can't help it. For these personal reports, Haidt codes some data about women's attitudes towards relationships, marriage, and monogamy. That the media find this data so threatening to men is a sign of how easily hysteria about female aggression ignites under the anti-feminist backlash. For instance, should the press really have been infuriated, or come here, Bo, you want me to hold you? Come here. I want to hold you. Why am I not holding you while we read? We read like he can do it. I want to hold you. You want to see my cute buddy? My little bubby. Bubby. Okay. Or perhaps some journalists just couldn't stand to hear what these women had to say. I'm going to exploit him. I'm going to take a picture with him, too, for the thumbnail so y'all click it. The overheated denunciations of Haidt's book suggest an emotion closer, hey, buddy, closer to fear than fury, as did the illustrations accompanying Time's story, which include a woman standing on the chest of a collapsed man. Some men might like that, myself included. A woman dropping a shark in a man's bathwater. Okay, I won't like that. And a woman wagging a viperish tongue in a frightened male's face. Aw, frightened males. That's so cute. At the same time, the press was pillorying Haidt for suggesting that male resistance might be partly responsible for women's grief. It was applauding another social scientist he doesn't like sitting like this, whose theory that women's equality was to blame for contemporary women's anguish was more more consonant with backlash thinking. They always like to sit like this. I think they don't like the blood rushing to their hind legs like that because they don't stand on 2 legs. Backlash thinking psychologist Dr. Shruly Blotnick, a Forbes magazine columnist and much quoted media expert on women's. Sorry, I got shadows. I can barely read this. Like everything is shadowing. I got these flowers shadowing my book. Bo's getting comfortable. I'm not gonna put you down. I don't want to put you down. Hey, buddy. You distracted me with love. I can't even read. I'm in a world of love. His conclusion: success at work poisons both the unprofessional and personal lives of successful women. Bro, shut up. Blotnick asserted that his 25-year study of 3,466 women proved that achieving career women are likely to end up without love, and their spinsterly misery would eventually undermine their careers as well. That sounds made up as well. We're back to going full circle and made up shit. That's not true. In fact, he wrote, we found that the anxiety. Let me just say it again. I got a lot of women in my life, in my family, because of course, who doesn't? Every single woman I've talked to never has said that the source of their misery is their job or career or independence. It's always fucking men. I've said it before. My sister is my best friend, and every single problem she's had, like real problems that we discuss and cry about and get real about on an intimate level, has been caused by men in some way, whether it was her sexual assault to toxic relationships. In fact, he wrote, we found that the anxiety which steadily grows is the single greatest underlying cause of firing for women in the age range of 35 to 55. He took some swipes at the women's movement too, which he called a smokescreen behind which most of those who are afraid of being labeled egomaniacally grasping and ambitious hid. Huh? Let me try that again. As he called it, the women's movement a smokescreen behind which most of those who were afraid of being labeled egomaniacally grasping and ambitious hid. Okay, labeled as grasping. I've never heard anybody labeled as grasping. I'm grasping at it. The media received his findings warmly. Of course it did, man. New York Times is awful. He was a fixture everywhere from the New York Times to Phil Donahue. I thought Phil Donahue was all right. Am I thinking of that, or is that a conservative? Or am I thinking of Phil, who's the anti-war guy? Phil, I don't remember. And I'm bad with names. And national magazines like Forbes and Savvy paid him, I thought Phil Donahue was all right, though. He's a sexist? Hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce still more studies about anxiety-ridden careers. It's the last page, people. None doubted his methodology, even though there were some fairly obvious grounds for skepticism. For starters, Blodnick claims to have begun his data collection in 1958, a year in which he would have been only 17. Okay, he's lying. On a shoestring budget, he had somehow personally collected a voluminous database, 3 tons of files. Huh? He weighed it? Is that how we used to quantify data, by weighing it? Plus 26 gigabytes on disk memory. What? Back then, that would have been like crazy volume. Like, that would have been like floppy disks. And a floppy disk only hold like 20 megabytes or something like that. Like, crazy. More data than the largest federal longitudinal studies with multi-million dollars. That's what I'm talking about. There's no way this guy actually did this at 17 with no budget. And the doctor in his title was similarly bogus. It turned out to be a product of mail-order degrees from an uncredited correspondence school. Of course, this guy's a fraud. And the New York Times took him seriously, bro. This world is unserious. You gotta be a white guy in a nice suit. You could have literal mail-order degrees. They're like, yeah, we're gonna publish you and ruin society. When tipped off, the editors at Forbes discreetly dropped the doctor from his name, but not his column. Man, fuck the media. In the 1980s, Dan Collins, a reporter at the U.S. News and World Report, was assigned a story on the currently all-popular media subject, the misery of the unwed. Man, they just really want to get these women in marriages. This is crazy. Mind your own fucking business. Let them decide whether they want to marry us or not. His editor suggested he call the ever-quotable Blodnick, who had just appeared in a similar story on the woes of singles in the Washington Post. Post did it. WAPO did it too. After this interview, Collins recalls, I began to wonder why Blodnick had seemed so nervous when asked for his academic credentials. Oh, that's always a good way to figure some shit out. Like if a person's really in the military or has academic credentials. Just look at their body language and ask them very specific questions that only that person would know. The reporter looked further into Blodnick's background and found what he thought was a better story. The career of his national authority was built on sand. Not only was Blodnick not a licensed psychologist, almost nothing in his resume checked out. Even the professor that he cited in his current mentor, as his mentor, had been dead for 15 years. But Collins' editors at the U.S. News had no interest in the story. A spokeswoman explained later that they didn't have a news peg for it, and the article was never published. Finally, a year later, after Collins had moved to New York Daily News in 1987, he persuaded his new employer to print the piece. Collins prompted the state to launch a criminal fraud investigation against Blodnick. The Forbes, why can't I read? Discontinued Blodnick's column the very next day. But the news of Blodnick's improprieties and implausibilities made few waves in the press. Of course it did. They didn't, because it would make them look bad by associating, because they printed shit. It's inspired only in a brief news item in Time. Nothing in Newsweek. I thought Newsweek was alright. And Blodnick's publisher, Viking Penguin, went ahead with plans to print a paperback edition of the latest book anyway. What? Man, no ethics. As Gerard Howard, then Viking's executive editor, explained at the time, Blodnick has some very good insights into the behavior of people in business that I continue to believe have an empirical basis. He believes that's not how empirical evidence works. It's not about belief. This world is so unserious. Anyways, thank you for joining me today. I had a great time with this one. Very interesting section about how the media and these executives and push the bullshit that makes everybody unhappy. Anyways, guys, I love you. See you. God bless. Bo says goodbye.